Hey everybody, Stinger here. I want to invite you to a pretty cool podcast.
Watch this film. Be quite nice. Have a good time. You'll be very evil. You'll love that fan housing.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
Yes, it is I, Big E, but more importantly, it is you.
And you might remember me from such YouTube greats as Being the Elite and Chris Daniels Almost Dies.
And if you're looking for the very best wrestling content, you better come to Good Mic Work Commentary.
And I'm just going to tell you now, as a role model, you got to tune into this because if you also want to be a role model, you got to learn from the best.
We have a rapport, and we have been so close over so many years. This is not a cameo or a paid endorsement in any regard. This is a message of friendship.
Man, we met 20 years ago, 21 years ago now. Time is flying, isn't it?
I want to wish you all the best in your YouTube channel, and hopefully I can maybe make a special guest appearance on there sometime.
And I used to say, hey, Greg Morgan, and he used to say, please call me Greg, and I wouldn't do it.
Good mic work. Commentaries.
Awesome YouTube channel. Now, if you've seen these videos before, you know what I'm talking about.
We would do verbal chain wrestling. You know, we'd be off in the yard, the schoolyard at recess.
And he's also a 40-year-old wrestling fan. That's a long damn time.
And we'd just be staring at each other, and he'd say, hammerlock. And I'd say, all right, I've reversed the hammerlock into a hammerlock of my own, then I put you in a headlock. And, you know, that would go on for hours.
He's not going to fill your head with bullshit. He's going to tell you real deal, what's up, and that's that.
Raw, SmackDown, NXT. This guy covers it all, my friends. I want you to go to his page, Good Mic Work on YouTube.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
But we would have fun. We would run around. There would be a wooden hoop we would hit with a stick, and it would go down a hill.
I'm about to go and watch a few videos myself.
It's a very practical apparatus.
We're really lacking in the world right now with some people that have a freaking brain cell.
And now look at him. He has more YouTube views and subscribers than I do, and I'm fine with it because I played such an integral role in his upbringing.
Don't you dare be sour.
We always talked about wrestling. He was a big Lou Thez guy, and of course I had an affectation for the Hackenschmidts.
Clap for Good Mic Work Commentaries.
This is RJ City, a wrestling rock on tour.
And feel the power.
Listen to the podcast. Subscribe.
You are watching Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good mic work commentaries.
Just want to encourage all you guys to check out Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And if you don't, we're going to have a problem.
Do it!
Do it.
Do it now!
Thanks a lot for the encomium and the nice words about my father's Hall of Fame induction.
Hope our paths cross again sometime down the road. Would love to shake your hand again, and good luck on this podcast.
And you don't just watch it one time. You get every single.
And now, Good Mic Work Commentaries and Greg Morgan presents the Winged Eagle Podcast.
Bros, sisters, my God, I have missed you guys. Holy crap, I cannot remember the last time we were here for a Winged Eagle podcast, but here we are finally. We are back for your December 3rd, 2022 edition of the Winged Eagle between Survivor Series and Crown Jewel and my crazy schedule and the holidays in November. I think it's been several weeks since we have been up here on a Saturday for a regular podcast, and even today isn't that regular. We're up an hour earlier than we normally are, and I got to bust this thing out in 90 minutes because guess what? Of course, I got to be at work pretty early today because it's Christmas party season. And I'm a restaurant manager, and it is crazy. So I will be at work tonight working a big party for State Farm Insurance. That's going to be fun. And it only gives me a short amount of time to talk about today's issues and today's topics. So today's going to be a nice, I think, little charcuterie plate tapas wrestling topics discussion. We're going to talk news and notes and tidbits and Roman Reigns and William Regal and CM Punk. We're going to talk about high points of some of this week's wrestling shows, the Raws, the Dynamites, the SmackDowns, the Rampages, but we're not going to fully review everything. Just talk about the tidbits. We're going to look ahead to the Royal Rumble. We're going to look ahead to WrestleMania. We're going to look ahead to the Elimination Chamber, and we're going to look ahead to next week's Ring of Honor Final Battle, which I believe is next Saturday. That has a pretty decent looking card already set for that. So we had a really interesting week this week on Dynamite with the MJF belt reveal and the MJF turn on William Regal, which has sparked a shit ton of rumors about William Regal's status in AEW and if he's actually going to be jumping ship back to WWE like many folks expect him to. We saw the return of Tegan Nox and Ruby Soho to TV this week, which was really fun. Lacey Evans is getting another repackage. Eric Young apparently is heading back to WWE. They killed him off on Impact. That's kind of funny. There was a little bit of an altercation apparently after Survivor Series between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. The two of them are actually slated to face off at the Royal Rumble apparently. And we've got the Elimination Chamber on the road to WrestleMania, which is going to be in, wait for it, Montreal. I believe it's already sold out, and we're going to have some big Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn implications on that show for sure. So we're going to do a lot of speculating, and I think one of the biggest things we're going to speculate about today is The Rock, and a lot of talk about The Rock. We are coming up on WrestleMania. It's getting closer. So we've been hearing rumors of The Rock potentially wrestling in LA at WrestleMania for the better part of 2 years now. It's just a few months away. I think if WWE is going to be able to use The Rock, they need to know yes or no on this pretty soon. So The Rock's name being tossed around for the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, expect those rumors to intensify if there is indeed a chance that he's going to be here. I don't think that after all of this time, WWE is going to wait until now to contact The Rock about WrestleMania. Hopefully this is something that they've been discussing for quite some time, and if The Rock needs to free up some time on his schedule, hopefully he's already done that. And he already has his shit booked out for the next few months, and he knows what he's going to do. Hopefully The Rock and WWE at least know if he's going to compete or not. Maybe we don't know yet, but hopefully they at least do, because we have some really good stuff right now creatively involving The Rock's opponent if he does wrestle at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns. And I would hate to see The Rock's involvement trip up this remarkable creative they have going on right now with the Bloodline. So if he's coming in, I hope for the sake of creative, they know that now and they know where they're going, and they don't have to make up a story on the fly if they find out last minute in January that The Rock can be used. Oh, let's just change all our plans to make sure that they fit The Rock. I don't want to see that happen to creative. So we're going to talk about The Rock, scenarios that would make sense for him to come in, because if he is going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania and Roman Reigns isn't dropping the title until then, how does The Rock get that title shot? So that's why some of these Royal Rumble rumors have been coming about with The Rock winning it. And I've got a really interesting idea that does admittedly have some holes in its logic, but could work and could be fun, and it might be one of the only ways I would be essentially okay with The Rock coming in and winning the Royal Rumble if they wrote the storyline a particular way. So stay tuned for my thoughts on that. I want to say hi to you guys as well. I want to do some nice shout outs, welcome you guys to the chat, shout out the patrons, the channel members, and let you guys know what's going to be on tap for this week. It feels good to be back. We are going to be doing double duty this weekend, back at it tomorrow for a watch along after missing last week. Tomorrow, STARRCADE 1997. The channel subscribers voted on this poll on the community tab just a couple of days ago. I think I put Survivor Series 1994, 95, 96, and 97, something like that, and 97 won by a landslide with about 70% of the vote. So that link is up on the channel right now. We're going to be doing that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Link is in the description. After tomorrow, watch-alongs going forward on Sundays are going to go live 2 hours early. Just because of a scheduling conflict here in the house, it's going to be easier for me to do it that way. So I think starting next week, not tomorrow, but the week after, we're going to bump these watch-alongs up. I kind of mentioned this to the watch-along crew a couple of Sundays ago to see if you guys would be cool with that. Most of you said that would not be a problem for any of you, for us to change that schedule up. So we're probably going to be doing that for a lot of Sundays going forward. And I also owe you guys a members-only watch-along. Put a poll up, or not a poll, but a post up for members only just the other day, asking you for some suggestions on Christmas-related wrestling shows, and you guys had some good ones. So all I got to do this weekend, tonight when I get home from work, take a look at those suggestions, narrow it down, find one, and nail down a date. Throw a link up on the channel, and all that'll be ready for the channel members as well. And I got to figure out when we're going to do that. So it's possible that we actually are not going to, now that I think about this out loud, maybe we don't do the watch-along time change next week, because next week might be double duty. I might be coming up here early in the day to do the members only, and then we're going to stick around and do the main watch-along for everybody. So stay tuned. Subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Good Mic Work is now on Instagram. I have not announced this to the Winged Eagle audience yet. A few weeks ago, maybe 3 now, I joined Instagram. Have not been on the platform ever in my life. I've never used it. I don't even know how to use it or the interface or how to comment and post and chat and that type of stuff. Getting used to it. It's been fun so far. Good handful of followers joined up right away. The link should be in the description. If not, just go to Instagram, search at Good Mic Work 1. You can find me. Please shoot me a follow, and I will be posting a lot over there to try to promote the channel, since Twitter isn't exactly my favorite place at the moment. So make sure you check me out on Instagram if you have not. Also, that subscribe button is right below, along with the like button, that beautiful, delicious, sexy like button. Hit it, and hit it hard. I would appreciate it. If you would like to become a member, you can do that too. Link in the description, join button below. You got all sorts of options to join there. And we're going to be updating some of that member stuff very, very soon. But life has been kicking my ass. Was in a car accident, totaled my car a couple of weeks ago, all sorts of stuff I'm kind of dealing with right now. So that, and trying to manage my career and the channel, lots going on. So what you guys can do to help is like the video, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So that's what's going to be on tap for this week. I was thinking that we would do something on Monday, but I'm not sure what. I don't want to torture myself to watch Raw and do a review on it if nothing really important is going to happen on the show. I know we've got Elias and Riddle challenging for the tag team titles. I'll think about what to do on Monday. You might at least get a short, a mic drop, something like that on Monday, some sort of a content. Or maybe I'll feel saucy and come up here and live react to Monday Night Raw. But there's also football on. I don't want to come up here and live react for 25 people either. So it just depends on what the weekend brings as to what we're going to do Monday. But I feel like I want to make up for last week by trying to do, a lot of videos here in a row. So we might be up here on Monday as well, just to do a Raw review for S&Gs, shits and gigs, in case you didn't know. But anyway, let me cruise to the chat, say hi to you guys. I have not even done a sound check yet. Thank God you guys can hear me. I would hate to have been rambling all that time just to find out you guys couldn't hear me. All right. Good to see channel members Stephen Taylor, Red Raven Rucker, and Zach Palgett chiming in first. George Morris, of course, is here with his token $5. Thank you very much, George. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? How are your cats? People around my town are more miserable than ever. Are you miserable? Me and my girlfriend are not. I am not miserable. I'm actually a very, very happy, content person. I always have been, even when times in my life haven't been great. I've always maintained an overall pretty good attitude, I think, and life has not always been perfect for me, but I've always been a pretty happy guy, and I am deliriously happy in San Diego. I love my city. I love my job. I love my woman. I love all of you guys. There's not too much in my life right now that sucks. So no, I'm not miserable, and usually I never am miserable. Cats are doing good, George, but Bub's slowing down. As you guys know, I was told to put him down way back in February. He has hung on and fought like a warrior, basically returned to his old self. It's starting to happen. He no longer can jump up on things. He's jumping up on this desk and coming here and sitting right here with me while I podcast. Used to be an everyday thing for him. He can't even get up here anymore. Even if I put a stool, he really struggles. But he's not suffering. He's not in any pain. He still eats. He's still very vocal. He still shows affection, but it's starting to wind down for the old Bubster. So thank you for your concern, and I'll make sure that I keep you guys posted on his progress as we move into 2023. I'm definitely going to get another Christmas out of him, but I don't know how much longer after that, unfortunately. Jimmy Anderson, good to see you as always, my friend. Good evening from all the way across the globe. Very happy you're here. I owe shout-outs to Andy Linnell, Ben Espinoza, Big J, and David Brown as well. Heck yeah, good to see you. Channel members Zane G in the house, JJ Leg, Michael Kumo, OG, Mab, and NG Dre, rounding out some of the channel members here as well. Guardian of Chaos is here. Good to see Muhammad. Happy Saturday to you, my friend. Crazy J26 is here. Sir Wilson's 2K1. Yeah, a lot of people don't want Rock and Roman for the title. That's a very, very popular opinion. A lot of people feel that match doesn't need the title and Rock doesn't need the championship. I completely disagree with all of that logic, but I still have a better idea of how to book this storyline that will keep the championship away from The Rock. And there's really nothing wrong with Roman and The Rock being for the title. I have no idea why fans have this common opinion. I'm very, very much against that programmable, predictable line of thinking. And I'm going to tell you why later. So just hang on and wait for my pitch for what I would do with The Rock and Roman Reigns if the WWE is in fact going to do this match. Because if they're going to do this match, that means you have to hotshot something, or you have to do something that you probably weren't planning to do in order to get the title belts off of Roman Reigns. And I think that I don't want to just change things up last minute when you've had this long 2+ year run, 2.5 year run, whatever it is. But I'll let you guys know what my ideas are for Roman and The Rock. And it doesn't involve The Rock winning the title, so you should be happy about that. Good to see Tatanani in here as well. Roman Reigns is here. Good to see you, Tribal Chief. JL's in the house as well. Dan Price. Tomas Aridia, thank you very much for that $5. How cool would it be if Eric Young returned as Nikki Cross's manager and have a mini Sanity reunion? I hope that they bring Eric Young to do something Sanity related, and having a Nikki Cross pairing would be fun, because otherwise, what is Eric Young really going to do, if he comes in? I like Eric Young and everything, but he's not going to be coming in to be a game changer. He's going to be coming in there to be a piece. They need him for something. So hopefully it's going to be something with Nikki Cross. Could even be something Bray Wyatt related, or who knows. But I feel like if Eric Young comes in, he's going to be somebody associated with somebody else. I don't think he's going to come in and be a standalone wrestler having matches by himself with a gimmick and theme music. I don't think. I hope he comes in to do something kind of bonkers, because I didn't see what they did with him on Impact, but apparently they killed him off. They've already had a couple of deaths on Impact, have they not? So they're doing funny shit over there. I feel like Eric Young should just continue that trend, because he's a wacky guy. I can't believe we're living in a world where Eric Young's in WWE and Daniel Bryan is not. Crazy. Dan Price, my friend, good to see you, dude. Thank you for that $5. Welcome to Instagram. It's a great place. I do like it infinitely better than Twitter. It feels like it works a lot like Facebook. Of course, I'm not on Facebook either, but I used to be, and it feels like the scrolling through the feed and all that is a little bit the same. I'm sure it's still filled with its toxicity. I'm sure there's still assholes and rude pieces of shit all over that app, like there is all over social media, but so far it hasn't been as profound, I guess, and prolific as some of the dumbness and assholishness that you see on Twitter. So that I like, and the engagement is a lot more fun. Feels more wholesome, at least right now. I'm sure as I gain followers, you will have a toxic element creep in, because that's what happens. But so far, so good. Over on the IG, I've posted pictures of me as a kid. Nice tribute to my girlfriend. We've been together 4 years now. Some old wrestling pictures, and shit like that you guys might like to see from me. Pics when I was a kid, or shit that I did in my life, or something like that. That's going to be all up there, along with a lot of promotion for the channel and upcoming videos and things like that. So please take Dan Price's advice. Go follow me on the IG. Isaac, good to see you. Glad you're here as well. Excuse me. Zane G is here with the $5. Appreciate that as well, my friend. Yo, what up, Mike Work? I'm currently dealing with my second bout of the C19, but I'll be fine. Oh my gosh. Well, good luck to you, Zane. I am sorry to hear that. We are all here for you. Best of luck in your recovery. Stay strong. Glad you'll be fine. I'm sure you will. You're a warrior, and all the best to you, my friend. Thanks for being here. Nick Musser's in the house as well. Martin Tomlinson, good to see you, buddy. Greetings from the UK. We have, Wilson says, it's simple. It is. It's that simple, is it? If Roman wins, we're having another year of Roman as champion. How do you know? How do you factor that? As no way his reign ends anywhere but Mania. Oh, I completely disagree with that. I don't think I've ever disagreed with a statement less. I think a Roman loss at WrestleMania would be fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I certainly don't believe it has to be there and only there. No. It could easily be SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam would be a good spot for it, which is exactly what I'm going to pitch in a while. So, Mr. Wilson, stay tuned, my friend. Stay tuned. Let's see. Oh, yeah, you're bored of Roman Reigns, of course. I'm sure Mr. Wilson's got all sorts of great things to say today, doesn't he? We got Chris Miner in the house as well. Chaz Medeiros, good to see you. I think that should round out most of the shout-outs there. Let's jump into the channel members, and let me thank Chaz Medeiros, the Juliet, Brandon Collier, excuse me, Ray Frand, Alan Carter, Ian Joe Dunn, Kevin, Randall Yates, Deshaun Robinson, Zach Palgett, NG Dre, Sean 2018, Jordan Karg, Financial Truth Academy, Devlin Husband, Mike Tong, Ian Dunn, Longboard, Sam Pabone, Jeff McMahon, Mikey Too Cool, Luke McAllister, Tar Brehan, Zelius Ward, William, Bo Klavlovic, Spider AR, Al Ramos, I believe that's you, Zach H., Chris Miner, Mike Witt, Danny Almark, Jimmy Anderson, C-Mac, Mab, Joshua Aparicio, How Wheezy, Spaz Phoenix, my boy Ronnie, Nicole Lensing, Marcus the Entertainer, Nikita Abalakin, Divine Ricks, Zane G. Good to see you. Best of luck to you, my friend. Chris Barrera, Michael Cuomo, John J.E. Dennett, S. Tatanani, Nick Musser, K-Dogs, Kennel. Best wishes out to Kevin as well. Max Pokebra, longtime listener. Spectre, Red Raven Rucker, Reese Jones, Victor Cologne, Isaac, George Morris, Stephen Taylor, Population 420, and JJ Legg, all of the wonderful channel members. Thank you very much for all of your support. Some of you also support on Patreon, and some of you support on both. So I want to thank all the current subscribers and patrons on the Patreon page. Joseph Hudson, Chris Broski, Divine Ricks, Nikita Abalakin, Chris Miner, Deshaun Robinson, Super Fluffy Toaster, Alan Carter, Brandon Yelverton, Nick Musser, K-Dogs, Kennel, Ryan Y, John Redifer, Claudio Clavedetcher, Ron Rodriguez, Reese Jones, Josiah Blevins, John Riffle, Michael Cuomo, Naveed, and Blake Moran. Thank you for all of the support. You guys are the best. Couldn't do it without you, literally. And I'm sorry I've been absent for so many weeks without getting these proper shout-outs done. We'll try to work some of those into some of the watch-alongs and stuff like that. But thank you, everyone, for being here this afternoon. We do need to get going on some of this news here. Oh, look at there. I got a retweet from Brian Pillman Jr. That was nice of him, and I was actually kind of criticizing him. Yeah, he was making a comment about tipping your Uber Eats drivers. Well, why should you have to tip them on the bill when they drive the same amount of distance? And I was like, that's just a little bit of flawed logic from somebody who's been in the hospitality industry for 30 years. I was like, you can tip whatever you want, but I think if you're getting good, polite service and you got what you asked for, you should take care of the people that brought it to you. Because a lot of people making 90% of their living doing that, as I know, as I have. So if that logic applied to me when I was a server selling $500 bottles of wine and somebody's going to tip me $2 on that just because I traveled the same distance, but I generally, as a server, I would make 20% of my sales. So I can have easily one table of 5 that's $500. I'm going to get a $100 tip off of them, but if it's at McDonald's, when you apply that same percentage, it's going to be a $2 tip. That's why you get better service the higher up you go on the food chain in terms of food and service and quality and things like that. When you go to a nice restaurant, these servers are there because they're professional servers. When you go to a restaurant where the steaks are $100, that server just didn't show up with an application and applied. He's been working his whole life to get that position. So you can't tip those guys $5. You know what I mean? Drivers might be a different deal, but again, these are people who are spending their time driving to you and that type of stuff. So that was nice of Pillman to shoot me a retweet there because big fan of his daddy. So I certainly don't want to throw any shade at Junior. And he's been doing some good. You see how he's changed. He's gotten really, sharp physically. He's gotten better in the ring. He's been doing good. So looking more and more like his dad every day too. Anywho, let's move on to other stuff. Hi, How Wheezy. Good to see you, member for 3 months. Glad you are here. Glad you are here. All right, let's get into some of this news. Why don't we start with last week's Survivor Series? 1 week ago today was Survivor Series War Games. Of course, the main event was all kinds of fun because it was the Bloodline taking on the Brutes and the Brutes and Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. This whole entire match was basically just the story of Sami Zayn and his alliance with the Bloodline, and if he can truly be trusted, and putting him into a situation where he had to prove himself against his former best friend, his former brother, somebody who he's traveled with and known all his life, the low blow to Kevin Owens, the instruction to Jay to hit him with the splash to win the match, the whole deal. Sami being accepted, reaching the mountaintop of where he wanted to be with the Bloodline. I feel like that was the pinnacle. That is going to be the highest point that Sami gets, and everything here. There's going to be a short honeymoon, I think, with them being very happy with him. And like I was saying prior to Survivor Series, I wasn't ready for the split to happen yet because I think Sami Zayn being associated with the Bloodline here during the holiday season is going to be a lot of fun when he gives them gifts or potentially receives gifts. Who knows? But at some point, now that he's reached the peak, And with so much coming up on the horizon, WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, you know it's got to come soon. And you know WWE has a plan for that whole storyline to end, and it's going to be really fun to see how they execute that. But during that match, a lot of it was centered around Kevin Owens, and as we speculated prior to Survivor Series, I said Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns makes more sense at the Royal Rumble than Sheamus at Roman Reigns. Now, Sheamus and Roman would be fun because Sheamus deserves it, banger after banger. He's been doing great work, and I would love to see him get that opportunity. But Kevin Owens makes all the more sense because of Sami Zayn. And Kevin Owens kind of had Roman Reigns' number a couple of years ago. 2 years ago at Royal Rumble was where they had that botched last man standing match, right? Where Roman got handcuffed to the thing and he couldn't get up and the referee had to like pretend like he didn't see it. Kevin Owens has been your Universal Champion, and he said so in his promo. And if it weren't for the bloodline or whatever, I would have ended your reign before it even started. And that coming back full circle now, I think would be awesome to see those two fight again. And the point I was going to make here about Survivor Series is what apparently there was some sort of an altercation behind the scenes or backstage after the War Games match involving Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, where Roman Reigns was reportedly very, very mad at Kevin Owens for some sort of an unplanned spot in the match. Now, a lot of people are pointing to a point in the match where Kevin Owens slapped Roman Reigns. Maybe he potatoed him a little bit. Maybe it hurt. Roman Reigns apparently was complaining about a potential broken eardrum, so Owens maybe gave him a slap that Roman wasn't expecting, or the slap wasn't discussed previously, or maybe it was too stiff. Whatever it was enough to piss off Roman Reigns backstage, but from all accounts, this was just typical heat of the moment yelling that's probably not going to amount to anything. This certainly didn't become a scrum gate or a brawl out situation where there are doors being power bombed through and dogs being thrown and wives being bitten on the arm or whatever. This was some words exchanged. Apparently it's probably not going to have any sort of effects on what's going on storyline wise. And that's a shame to hear that, because I really like Roman Reigns and I really like Kevin Owens without ever meeting Kevin Owens personally. Every interview I've heard him on, every time I've heard him talk, he seems like just an unbelievably nice guy, an easy person to get along with. And he's polite, he's respectful, and he's well-spoken, and just an all-around nice, intelligent-sounding dude. And I almost couldn't imagine somebody not liking him or not getting along with him. I always thought he had a fair amount of respect from his peers. So that's why I think any sort of an altercation that happened with Kevin and Roman is probably healthy, because these things have happened, for years in WWE and all forms of wrestling. You do have, incidents that take place. We've seen it in AEW, although it hasn't been handled that well with the Eddie Kingston and Sammy stuff and the Andrade and Sammy stuff, and of course Brawl Out and Scrumgate and all of that. But in WWE, we've seen backstage fights with with Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero. Jericho got in Brock Lesnar's face one time. There are certain times when things just boil over, and if some words were exchanged, I think at the end of the day, Owens and Roman and the spot on the card that they are in, they're going to be fine. I'm sure everything now, if I had to bet, and this is just baseless speculation here, but if Greg had to take a guess, I'm sure anything that happened at Survivor Series has already been squashed. I don't think there's any this isn't a Becky and Charlotte situation where these two are being two divas. I think they're men. They're going to handle it like men, and we probably shouldn't concern ourselves too much with it. But I did think it was an interesting story, considering that these guys are going to be working together coming up here at the Royal Rumble. And I'm really curious now, how that match is going to go. Of course, not many of us are expecting Kevin Owens to win the title here. I don't expect Roman's run to end here at the Rumble, even though I think Owens would be a great guy to take the belt off of him, especially if, they do plan to shoehorn The Rock into here somehow. And in order to do that, they need to get the belts off of Roman, so that maybe they do a match here with Owens that does it. But I wouldn't do it here. I'd somehow have Roman Reigns survive, maybe with help from Sami Zayn, or maybe Zayn turns on Roman or tries to help Owens and fails, or I don't know, or is put in another one of those situations where Sami's got to prove himself, the ref is out, and he can either hit Roman or hit Owens, with a chair if he's standing between them and the bloodline has been taken out. Owens is on one side, Roman's on another. There's no referee. Zayn has got a chair and he's got to decide what to do. That might be a good way to end it. And then he hits, Kevin Owens and costs him or whatever, who knows. But they kind of already did that at War Games. So it will be interesting to see how they book this, considering I thought the next time Owens and Roman Reigns faced, Owens should be seriously considered to win the title. As a matter of fact, I've even said several times this past summer that I don't think we should go through the entire year of 2023 without Kevin Owens becoming a world champion again. It's been like 7 years almost since he's been champion. The dude main evented last year's WrestleMania against the biggest star in the business, and he's been long overdue he's good in the ring, he's good on the mic, he's got all the tools. I think Owens needs to be champion again, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen at the Royal Rumble. And then when you look ahead to the next month, Elimination Chamber is in Montreal. Holy shit, that's when you got to do something. That's when you've got to put Sami and Owens and the Bloodline all in the chamber. Something's got to happen. It could come down to Sami and Roman Reigns. Plus, you got to think about Roman might not even be in that. It might be for a shot at the title if they do something to separate the titles again. There's so many what ifs here, but all I know is whatever they have planned, I hope they kind of already know what they want to do at Elimination Chamber, because that setting, that building that they are in is too perfect of a scenario for what they've got going on right now with Sami and the Bloodline and Kevin Owens and the Chamber sitting right between Rumble and Mania in Montreal. Yo, man, you got to do something major there. So I'm ready to see how all of this goes. I'm really excited to see how they execute the eventual removal of Sami Zayn from the Bloodline, because it's coming, and I think it needs to be ugly when it does. Sami Zayn's been a lot of fun and games. This whole angle, they fell ass backwards into it being over because of Sami Zayn's comedic factor, really, because he's so entertaining and he's so funny. So I think it's a really awesome story that they were able to take an angle that was supposed to be tongue-in-cheek and be a little bit funny and now turn it into this, dramatic story of, basically self-discovery and Sami's got to find out who he is for real. He's going to discover a lot about himself in the next couple of months with the choices he's going to be faced with. Excuse me. Tickle in my throat. Sorry. With the choices that he's going to be faced with, he's going to be finding out a lot about who he is, and he's going to be put in these situations, I think, on the road to WrestleMania that's really going to bring his whole character full circle. So I think that when the time comes to kick him out of the Bloodline, I need to see some blood here, You know what I mean? I think they need to bust Sami open him up, leave him a broken, beaten, battered man, to where even Kevin Owens doesn't have sympathy for him at first because of everything that Kevin and Sami has already done to Kevin, the War Games, and even if Sami, costs him the Royal Rumble or something like that, there's going to be a lot of forgiving that's going to need to be done. So, maybe the split already happens, and Sami's already been kicked out of the group, but he still finds himself in the Elimination Chamber somehow. And that's when Owens finally has a change of heart and comes to Sami's aid, and the two of them band together somehow in that chamber match and then go on to WrestleMania to challenge the Usos for the tag team titles. I feel like that's probably the best match to do, even though I think that keeps Kevin Owens away from the WWE title for a little while longer. I think it's okay because he'll be doing something pretty significant. I think you actually have a chance here at WrestleMania to make your tag team championship match one of the biggest matches on the card. When was the last time you ever said that about a tag team championship match at WrestleMania? Maybe that one where the Hardy Boys came back or something in that crazy ladder match, but that was like with 15 guys in it. I'm just talking about a straight tag match, one team against another team. You tell me in the chat, at WrestleMania, when was the last time we saw a tag team championship match, 2-on-2, that is going to be one of the biggest matches on the card for the titles? I know we saw the Triple H and mixed tag with him and Stephanie and Ronda and Kurt, and we've seen some of that. But I'm just saying, tag team titles straight. I have to go all the way back to like WrestleMania 2 with the Dream Team and Bulldogs, or WrestleMania 4 with with Demolition and Strikeforce, or 6 with Demolition and Colossal Connection. That might be a good example too. But that's, maybe Money Inc. and Hogan and Ted DiBiase at WrestleMania 9, maybe honorable mention there. But in terms of just a straight tag match with so much drama and so many moving parts and pieces and so much history with all four of these guys, man, they've set themselves up really nice at WrestleMania. So for Kevin and Sami to have that moment together at WrestleMania against the record-setting WWE Tag Team Champions, I don't think that's necessarily a step down for either of them, provided that Owens can find his way back to the championship as well. And don't rule out Sami Zayn either. Here's one interesting situation or scenario. What if Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble? What if Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble? What happens there? Does he go on to face Roman Reigns? Who knows? Because there's another person rumored to win the Royal Rumble, and that is The Rock. And like I talked about at the beginning here, you know, I just hope that when it comes to The Rock, if WWE, I just hope WWE and The Rock know if it's happening or not. It's okay if they don't want to tell us. I'm fine with that. I just hope that internally, Rock knows and WWE knows yay or nay on WrestleMania. No, let's see what happens. Let me check my schedule for the next couple months. I'll let you know March 1st. No, let us know now. Figure it out. Can he do it or can he not do it? Because if he can do it, that means they can start creatively planning for this and they can make a plan. If it's one of those things where Rock isn't going to know if he's available until the last minute, you can't do that because you're going to be involved in too big of a storyline. It's not like you're just coming in to do a match. You're coming in here to work with the tribal chief, potentially face him at WrestleMania. There could be a championship at play here, and that's got a lot of people talking. So a lot of people feel that if The Rock comes in and wins the Royal Rumble, that means he's going to be facing Roman Reigns for the championship at WrestleMania, which means Roman will continue to retain at the Royal Rumble. He's in no danger of losing the title between then and WrestleMania at the Chamber, or I don't even know if they're doing a crown jewel or not. I don't think they are. So there's no real danger for Roman to to lose the title, which means Rock winning the Rumble. It's going to put Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the title. Now, there's lots of people who don't like that idea. They feel that the Rock and Roman doesn't need the title. They think it takes away from other people and blah, blah, blah. And there's some truth to that, certainly, because Roman is holding both belts right now. It would be one thing if we had two championships. We don't. We still think there's a chance that we could go back to that they could separate the titles out. One of the ideas being thrown around is to have Roman defend both belts on both nights. He could do that. A couple of years ago, even, at the Royal Rumble, he was put in the Royal Rumble to defend his title. Maybe he does that this year. Maybe he gets into the Royal Rumble and does what he did in 2015, only this time, or maybe it was 16, whatever that year was. I think it was 16 when he defended the title in the Rumble and then Triple H won the title, right? Only this time, instead of losing, he wins. But that's going to be a whole lot of Roman winning, and we know how fans tend to get when somebody wins too much. So I don't know if I like that idea, but I do like the possibility maybe of Roman defending the belts on separate nights at WrestleMania. That could also work. I don't know if it would work for him to defend the title on night one and then face The Rock on night two. I feel like there's too many possibilities for overshadowing there. So if Rock and Roman face at WrestleMania, I don't think I'm doing Rock and Roman on night two. That match is going to be so big that it needs to be focused on, kind of like Cena and Rock. All those music treatments with the Machine Gun Kelly and all that stuff that these guys got in the Flow Rida and that whole big epic production of Rock versus Cena and how big that was. I feel like you can't make Rock and Roman Reigns an afterthought or a smaller deal than that. You can't just say, oh, and then after Roman faces Cody, then he's going to face The Rock on night two. It can't be like that. It has to have all of the focus on it. So with the rumors of The Rock potentially winning the Royal Rumble, here's really the only way I'd be okay with that, is if they had some fun with it. Because The Rock, of course, if he's going to come back, he's going to be a monster babyface, right? Or is he? You already have a lot of fans pissing and moaning about The Rock coming in at WrestleMania. It's not going to be for the titles. They seem to be very concerned about if it's for the titles or not. And as a fan of 40 years, I just don't get that concern. I don't know why people are so obsessed with that. Make it for the titles. Don't make it for the titles. Greg doesn't give a fuck. So whatever they do, I'm fine with it. But Rock is already starting to garner a lot of that whining from the audience. People don't want to see him come in, take a spot, win the Rumble, challenge for the titles and all of that. So I don't think it's an absolute given that he is a babyface. And I think you could book him in the Rumble in a really easy way to make him a heel. And to get him booed, remember, Rock's not invincible and impervious to boos. He's been booed and he's been turned on in matches before. The entire crowd at Toronto turned on him against Hulk Hogan. The entire crowd in New York turned on him against Brock. The entire crowd in Philly didn't give a rat's ass that he was out there after Roman Reigns won the Rumble and he tried to come help out. They didn't care. They didn't care. Rock is not impervious to this. He's not Stone Cold Steve Austin. There are going to be some fans, I think, that aren't going to want to see him and will have the tendency to boo him based on two factors. Number one, he's going in there and challenging for the titles, which fans aren't going to like. And number two, Roman gets babyface reactions. I actually think that Roman will get a large portion of the cheers if he faces The Rock. So here's how you make it even easier. You get to the Royal Rumble, and the first two people in the match, numbers 1 and number 2, are Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Nope, let's switch it. Cody Rhodes is number 1. Seth Rollins is number 2. Cody Rhodes is back. He's healthy. He's entering the Royal Rumble at number 1. Seth Rollins comes in at number 2 so they can have rekindle that a little bit and do their deal. Seth Rollins, he doesn't make it to the end. He gets eliminated at some point in that Royal Rumble. He could last forever. Cody could eliminate him right there. Who knows? But Seth does not last to the end. Cody does. He survives 28 other guys along with Seth Rollins. He throws the last guy out. Number 30 hasn't even come out yet. Cody is completely spent. He's exhausted. He's eliminated the last guy. He falls backwards in the middle of the ring, just spread eagle in the middle, just completely spent and dead as the clock ticks down to number 30, and it's The Rock. And The Rock comes in. Of course, he gets the big Rock ovation. Fans are going to be cheering for him like crazy, but it's going to dawn on them. Cody is sitting there dead in the ring. The Rock isn't going to have to do anything to win this Royal Rumble. So even though we're all happy to see The Rock, Rock's going to get in the ring and realize that Cody's right there. I think The Rock just picks him right up by his hair and just looks at him, and maybe mocks Dusty or something with a little elbow drop, or maybe does the bionic elbow on Cody's head and then just throws him over the top rope like a sack of fucking garbage. Wins the Royal Rumble and celebrates, but you got that some fans are like cheering, oh my God, this is awesome. And some are like, yo, this is fucked up. Cody just worked that whole match. He just worked an hour plus in there, killing himself, just coming back from a torn pec, laid it all in the ring, blood, sweat, and tears right there in the middle, only for Mr. Movie Star to prance his pretty muscular ass down there and take out Cody and steal that opportunity that he worked so hard for. And now The Rock is going in to WrestleMania to face the champion. The next night on Raw, Rock's in the house. He shows up. He wins the Royal Rumble. He's bragging, hey, Cody, sorry, man, wrong place, wrong time. You could even have Cody come out or something, but who you definitely need to have come out is Roman Reigns. And you do some sort of a segment right there on Raw with Roman and The Rock where they switch, where Rock is now your heel, Roman is your baby. And I know Roman being a babyface is going to be tough. Somebody pointed this out to me on Twitter last night, and it's a very good point. I think that when Roman Reigns takes his pin and loses those titles, taking the pin as a heel will carry much more weight than taking the pin as a babyface. I agree. But for the purposes of this pitch, we're leaving him babyface. So he's now face and Rock is a heel. And Roman then goes into WrestleMania to face The Rock for the titles, and he beats him. And Rock puts over Roman as the head of the table, the true head of the family, passes the torch to him. Roman is now a babyface. Rock has done his final job in wrestling, did the very best he could to pass his torch to a family member to carry on the legacy. He's done his job and served his purpose there. He gave us a WrestleMania match. He gave us another match in the ring that we haven't seen in 9 years, 10 years come 2023, right? From WrestleMania 29 in 2013. I don't think you count that match with Eric Rowan. Some people do, but his match with Cena was 10 years ago. And back then I thought Rock was too old to physically compete. Now we're 10 years later. It's now or never for The Rock. So he comes in, puts Roman over at WrestleMania. Roman retains the titles, which means he's still champion, but then out of respect, he grants Cody a championship match. You could save this to SummerSlam. It would probably be better if you did. To save it until SummerSlam. Out of respect, I know what The Rock did to you. You had that. It should have been me and you at WrestleMania. It should have been us. But Dwayne took that away from you. I got rid of Dwayne. I squashed Dwayne. But I respect you. and I respect your family. And out of that respect, I'm granting you an undisputed Universal Championship shot against me at SummerSlam. And then in the main event of SummerSlam, Roman Reigns puts Cody over completely clean. Cody wins. Show respect. Here's your new champion. Maybe even do a handshake. I know this is all way too positive and way too sappy. I think Roman being a heel, it can be a lot more fun. But I'm talking about in terms of Rock winning the Rumble. I think that's kind of the only scenario where I would be okay with him winning the Royal Rumble, unless WWE has some beautiful trick up their sleeve that I'm not thinking of or something like that. But if they just bring The Rock in as a babyface, he wins the Royal Rumble, goes on to WrestleMania to face Roman, and there's nothing extra there, no other surprise, or you're not putting the fans in a position to where they really get to choose. You're going to let them pick. You're not going to say it so clear that Rock's a babyface, Roman is a heel. You're going to bring The Rock out there and let the fans choose. And that's why I think Rock getting rid of Cody or winning the Rumble in a shady way could really help sway the fans' opinion, because you already are going to have people who are going to reject The Rock. Those fans exist. They always have. So I think if you add a little twist onto it, and then the whole thing comes full circle, Roman Reigns putting over Cody at SummerSlam, right around the 3-year mark of his title run, 3 years after winning it. I know he returned 3 years ago at SummerSlam and then won the title 2 weeks later. But doing it at SummerSlam would basically give Roman a nice, 3-year run. But this is all talking about having 2 titles as well. You could separate the titles out way before then. We could have 2 championships and Cody could just win one of these things. I don't know. But I think that whole scenario might be a good way to do it, to where you could get a payoff that would make the most amount of fans happy. You know what I mean? So maybe do it that way. That's the way I would maybe lay it out. But I'm only laying out a scenario like that with the Cody and Roman babyface match in the main event of SummerSlam. I'm only pitching that scenario with the understanding that The Rock wins the Rumble. And if that's what WWE is going to do, and they know that's what they're going to do, then the execution is what I'm more concerned about here. So that's kind of the way I'd book it for Rock, Roman, and Cody Rhodes. So think about that. Let me know what you think. Like I said, Eric Young, rumored to be heading back to WWE. First reported by PW Insider and confirmed by Fightful. So Eric Young is definitely heading back. I like what people were pointing out earlier about maybe some sort of an association with him and Nikki Cross. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if they can do a whole, bring back Sanity again. I don't even know if that would work all these years later. I don't even know where that one guy is, like Alexander Wolf or whatever he's up to these days. So who knows if they can even put them back together. But some sort of an alliance or a pairing with Eric Young and Nikki Cross would be crazy fun. I'd be all about that. So we'll keep our eye on Eric Young and see what he will be doing. We have a little bit of news on CM Punk, although not that much. Dave Meltzer spoke about Punk, I think, on the latest Observer Radio, and basically said that Punk is still under AEW contract, at least as of this past weekend, and it sounds like still all of the holdup is on AEW's side. Meltzer has been quoted as saying CM Punk is ready to move on to his next project. He seems more than willing to just part ways with AEW, but it's the holdup on their end. And when you hear something like that, assuming that's true, the only thing I can think of is that holdup is a non-compete, because what else would it be? What else would the holdup be if these 2 parties need to move on from each other so they can all just move on with their lives and their business? The only holdup there should be is probably a no-compete. Or maybe it could be Tony Khan in the back of his mind thinking, CM Punk is injured. Maybe after his rehab and he's healthy again, there's still time after things cool off to maybe have a meeting. And so he doesn't want to completely, get rid of CM Punk altogether, voiding any chance of them ever reconciling, although I don't think that there is. Meltzer even said that most people in AEW don't believe there is any chance that he's going to be back and doing any sort of a feud with the Elite. I said as much as well. I even put up a mic drop on this about Punk and him being trolled by the Elite in Chicago on Dynamite a couple of weeks ago. I said the only reason they're doing that is because they're in Chicago. This has nothing to do with starting a storyline, because everybody was convinced, that's it, CM Punk is coming back. I'm like, why would he come back? All of this shit is just 2 months old. Has CM Punk just automatically changed who he is as a person in 8 weeks? No, he's not coming back. There's probably still so much bad blood there. I think they were just leaning into that because they were in Chicago. They were trolling the crowd. They were having fun. I never thought at all it was any indication that CM Punk is coming back, and I just don't believe that he's going to. So there is still some sort of a hold up there. Maybe it's Tony Khan just not wanting to let go, holding out some sort of a hope that, well, if I just keep him under contract until he's healthy, maybe I could bring him back in. But I don't know at this point why anybody would really want to do business with CM Punk. However, if he did come back, if they were able to work something out behind closed doors and get CM Punk to come back, and then when he's healthy, he just shows up in the crowd, jumps the barricade, and attacks fucking Kenny Omega or something, that would just be huge, completely unannounced. Nobody knows what's going to happen. That would be pretty awesome and pretty big business. I ain't going to lie. But again, it's just not something that I ever thought possible. So apparently he's ready to move on. He's ready to go do his next project. But there is something being held up, and it likely is a no-compete. He probably doesn't want one, and AEW wants him to have one. And hopefully there's some middle ground where he can have a reasonable no-compete. But AEW must want a pretty long one because, you know, he's injured right now. It's not like he can go to WWE and have a match at WrestleMania. I don't think he'll be ready by then. Maybe he will be, but I doubt it. And why would they even want to bring him in to give him one of their big pay-per-view matches on their night, on their 4-night extravaganza, and take that away from somebody else? I just don't know what the big holdup there is. And I think AEW should just let CM Punk go, and everybody should just cut their losses. But there's still a holdup here, and we'll monitor what the latest is on this. CM Punk, incidentally, is still in the AEW Fight Forever video game. However, they did update the cover. And that was one of my first questions once Brawl Out happened, is that we've seen the video game. I thought it was already produced and being distributed, and we've seen CM Punk on the cover, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. It's too bad they didn't have time to change it. But now it looks like they did have time to change it after all. So Punk is no longer on the cover. I think it's just a medley of guys, but he is still in the game itself, which is good. That's the right call. He should be a playable character in there, I think. He's a definite part of their history, whether you like it or not. So it doesn't look like we have much news or movement on the Punk and AEW situation, but according to some, Punk's ready to move on with his life. So we will see if anything gets updated here this week as it relates to that. Let me cruise over here to the chat. I want to knock out a couple of super chats, or at least some comments here. Chris Miner, appreciate that $2. Roman vs. Miz with The Rock as host, like 27. Kidding. Chris Miner, don't make me block you. My God, Rock versus Miz. Are you out of your mind? Or no, what did we say? Roman versus Miz. Yikes. Yikes. No thanks. Reading some of these comments here. Huh. Yeah, Regina's right. We could get the reformation of the Blue Bloods in WWE. Yeah, Regal and Triple H go way back to the WCW days. And, of course, Triple H tweeted out the Regal montage of saying War Games on Survivor Series Day, which just led to more of these rumors, which is what we're going to get into here right now. I have no water, so I have to drink a Coke. Pardon me. If you guys don't mind smashing that thumbs up button for me, I would really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe and shoot me a follow over on Instagram. Now on Instagram at GoodMikeWork1. Let's talk about Dynamite this week. Like I said, we're not going to do a full show rundown here, but I do want to talk about the major parts. They did score a little bit of a disappointing rating this week, 870,000, which is a bit down, especially since this was MJF's first time on TV. He wasn't there after Full Gear, right? So this was his first time being on TV as AEW World Champion. Was kind of hoping they would pull a better number than that, but it was a little down for Wednesdays. Normally, usually they want about 900 or better, or sometimes over that million mark. But I don't find this rating to be too terribly bad. I've said forever, as long as it's in that 800,000 to 1.1, Dynamite always seems to be in there. So until there's some crazy flag, if they get a 1.3 one week, I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? If they get a 600,000 one week, I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? Anything between 800,000 and 1.1, I don't give a shit. I don't understand why these same redundant arguments just get repeated and reset every week on social media on ratings day. When AEW has a rating that's slightly lower than normal, people are, yay, they're going to be out of business and TBS is going to fire Tony Khan and everybody's going to turn into werewolves and all this shit, but then if it's higher than normal and they get like a 1.1, they're like, oh, that's no big deal. WWE used to get 3 times that, so it's like, it's always the greatest thing when it's low, but it's never a big deal when it's high. So yeah, that's a lower than normal rating, but fucking shit happens. WWE sometimes will just have 300K less than they normally do. It happens. And plus, TV isn't even the main way wrestling fans watch wrestling anymore. I think in terms of the overall general audience that's out there available, if you can have a 3-year-old company that's pulling half of the rating of a 60-year-old company, I don't consider that a failure and never have. AEW certainly has had issues of growing their audience. For sure, they haven't really grown it much, but my question is, what do you want them to do? How do they grow this audience? Everybody says that. They're not doing anything for the casuals. They're not growing the audience. Okay, what? What do they do to grow that audience? What WWE does? The whole point of AEW is to be an alternative. That's what I need as a wrestling fan. I was so sick of WWE. I needed a real, credible alternative to WWE that was stable and well-funded and well-backed and had a TV deal and all that stuff, and that's what we got. In the grand scheme of things, AEW is not perfect at all. They've had some missteps. They've done some things I wouldn't have done. They've booked some matches differently than I would have booked. But overall, I don't think you could have asked for any sort of a better scenario from an alternative to WWE. If you need something else out there, and we have that. They've had their pay-per-views always deliver. They have great TV. Sometime, they have issues with booking and TV time for people, and there's women's division problems, and there's behind the scenes issues as well that they have from time to time. But overall, if I'm looking for an alternative to WWE, that's well produced and has good talent and has money behind them, that's what AEW is. So the last thing in the world I want is for AEW to say, oh, the only way to get more audience members is to produce our show like WWE, which just gives you 2 WWEs out there. We already have 2 WWEs. We have 3 WWEs, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. You don't need another clone of those. You want something that does feel different, that has a different look, a different vibe, a different energy, a different booking philosophy, different style of matches, more hardcore, a little more blood, that type of stuff. And everybody says, oh, AEW has too much blood. Then watch WWE. That's the whole point of this. I don't know why you want both of these companies to be the same. And for those out there that say AEW is not doing anything to grow their audience, is WWE doing anything to grow their audience? WWE's audience has steadily declined for decades now. They grow in other ways. They have a long reach. Financially, they're 10 or 12 times larger than AEW. They have the ability to bring in a Logan Paul or a megastar pretty much anytime they want, but they are already an established household name. Coca-Cola does not need to grow their audience. Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola. They're everywhere. People who don't even know wrestling and don't know anything about it, if you told a stranger on the street, I'm a pro wrestler, they're going to say to you, oh, you mean like WWE? That's what they're going to say. They're not going to say, oh, you mean like AEW? No, they're going to say WWE. The general global population associates wrestling with the initials WWE. So if AEW is to grow their audience, they're 3 years old, a little older than 3 years old now. What do you suggest they do? I mean, if I have a 3-year-old company, like I said, if I go in my garage and some millionaire gives me all sorts of money to spend on equipment to whip up my own batch of Coca-Cola, if I rent a big warehouse and I mix up my own batch of cola, market it, distribute it, and sell it, and within 3 years I'm doing half of the sales of Coke, I am extremely happy. That is a monumental success. So I'm not too concerned, and I don't get too fly off the rails when AEW has a lower than normal rating, as long as the networks are happy. Now, we start hearing reports from Meltzer and other people. TBS is unhappy. Networks leaning on Tony Khan a little bit. We need to see better stuff from AEW, or we might have to pull the plug. Granted, ratings were way bigger back in the day, but WWE went through these problems back in 94, 95, and 96. USA Network was not happy with them because Nitro was beating the fuck out of them. And they had to make some changes to how they produced their TV, and USA was very patient. They were way behind the times in terms of what Nitro was doing, and USA kind of had to put the pressure on them a little bit to change things up. A lot of what we saw change on WWE, going live every other week and then moving to 2 hours and then starting the Titantron, that was all due to pressure from USA mostly. They knew that, hey, you got to do something because they're beating the fuck out of us. So change your shit up. So with AEW, to any fan that says AEW doesn't grow their audience, okay, I agree. It's not like they haven't doubled their audience since they have started. I agree with that. But in terms of the wrestling landscape and the fans available out there, you can only grow with what's out there. You could create new wrestling fans, sure, but I don't think you're going to create, 500,000 of them in 1 year. So aside from some crazy boom or some character like Stone Cold Steve Austin to come around and completely, take the world by storm, and everybody takes notice and makes all kind of noise and gets all this kind of attention. Aside from that, happening and the entire world wanting to watch one person or something, I don't know what Dynamite is supposed to do. They're a wrestling company. As a wrestling fan, I enjoy 80 to 90% of what they give me. Not all of it, but I enjoy most of it because I'm a wrestling fan and they give me good wrestling shows to watch most of the time. In terms of growing their audience, and if they want to double their audience or get an audience close to maybe what Raw draws, and for all the experts out there that says that's what they need to do, great. Tell me how to do that. Tell me how to do that. What should they do? I promise you the suggestions you might have for AEW might help things here or there, but it's not an audience growing suggestion. What's a suggestion that's going to grow the audience? Book the women better. It's not going to grow the audience. Give Keith Lee more TV time. It's not going to grow the audience. What would you do to grow the audience? Because that's what everybody says needs to be done. So tell me what needs to be done. In terms of what we saw on Dynamite, man, that Moxley stuff was good with Hangman Page. We're going to kick off with that. Moxley cuts a promo. He comes out. He's very pissed. He still insists that AEW is his house. This is his ring. There's nobody in this world that can touch him. And you kind of had a feeling somebody might come out, and it was Hangman Page. Oh, my God. And last minute, of course, I was not here on Wednesday to watch Dynamite with you guys. I wish I would have been, because that was an awesome return. It just warmed my heart to see him back. And announcers and commentary is saying that he wasn't cleared. But it would be clear that he probably is cleared and he is headed back to the ring because he would get physical here. Got in the ring. This was great. Gets right in Moxley's face, and Moxley goes, "You sure you want to do this after what happened last time?" And he goes, "Wait a minute. Do you even remember what happened last time?" Oh my God, the crowd, just this collective groan, and Hangman didn't even wait. Just immediately attacked Moxley. There was a big brawl on the outside of the ring. Moxley actually slipped off the ramp. He fell off. These two guys might need to stay away from each other because accidents happen when they're around. But it was basically like a pull-apart brawl, which is nice because now we're going to be able to get that match again that we didn't really get to see to its conclusion when Moxley was still champion and Hangman got injured. So that's going to be happening. Welcome back, Hangman Page. So happy to see that you're back. And if you're out there brawling with somebody, I think that means that you've probably passed protocol and you're good to go to return to the ring. That makes me happy. The other major thing that took place on Dynamite this week was MJF's promo. The new AEW World Champion, who was not on TV the week after Full Gear, is on TV now. He's wearing the AEW belt. William Regal is in the ring with him, and MJF is going to explain the union with William Regal, talked about how that pairing came together, the email that he read verbatim to the crowd from William Regal. Went on then to talk about the championship belt that he was wearing. He said, this belt is crap. He takes it off, throws it over the top rope onto the floor, and the entire time in the ring, there's a podium with this cloth shit over it. So they're going to unveil something, and MJF explains that title is not fit for a champion of his caliber, so he's going to reveal the new and improved AEW World Championship, and they rip off the cloth to reveal the same fucking belt he just threw on the floor. With one slight modification, it has a Burberry leather strap, which you can't see very well. You have to kind of squint to see it. It's there. And the title is definitely nice. I've always liked the look of the AEW title. I need to bite the bullet and just buy one. I've got some nice replicas back there. That bullshit is just a toy. I need to just, spend the $400 or whatever it is and get myself one of those AEW belts to put in the background, because I do like the championship, but I did laugh that MJF is making it sound like he's going to unveil this brand new looking championship belt, and it's the same damn belt that they already had with a Burberry strap that isn't even very visible and is a little bit hard to see. So that kind of cracked me up a little bit there. Center my microphone a little better. Sorry, all off-centered. But he takes the belt. He has it now. He calls it the Triple B, the big Burberry belt, which I don't like. I think it was a way for him to kind of segue into talking about Triple H and Nick Khan, and he talked about William Regal's email and how he did this because he's going to be champion until 2024, when the biggest bidding war in wrestling history takes place. And he's going to make a lot of money because he's the champion. And he talks about Khan, but the Khan that's going to pay me isn't going to be Tony. It's going to be Nick and my boy, the Game Trips, or something like that. So he's really leaning into this contract negotiation of 2024. And I'm just wondering, like, behind the scenes, is Tony Khan really letting MJF do this? You know, my hope as a fan is that MJF and Tony Khan have already got some multi-year deal set in place, and they're just doing this for TV, for him to stick around. I can't imagine MJF actually leaving to go to WWE in 2024 after a year of talking about it, because we have a whole year of 2023 coming up. We're going to have to hear this shit from him, and who knows how long he's going to be champion through that. He claims he's going to be champion the whole time. That would be interesting if he actually does, if Maxwell holds that title throughout the entire year. Don't know if that would work or not, but it would be interesting if he was champ going into his contract expiration and they find themselves in a CM Punk situation from 2011 where maybe MJF can blow a kiss to Tony Khan and jet out of the building with a championship belt or something and show up on Raw with it to maybe attack William Regal again. Or maybe William Regal brings MJF into WWE if Regal is in fact in WWE at that point. So MJF talks about the title, talks about his future, how long he's going to be champion, and then decides to put over William Regal and talks about Regal and how much he respects him, and he's going to give him the credit he deserves. And you could tell something was up. I really wish I was watching this live with you guys, because he starts to walk around the backside of Regal, and I'm like, up. And then he has got the brass knuckles on his knuckles already, and bam, blasts Regal from behind. Crowd did not see that coming. Again, I really wish I was here watching that with you guys. My God, it would have been great. So crowd did not see that coming. Regal is laid out. He's attacked. Tony Schiavone is going nuts. He hates the belt. He's calling, MJF a piece of shit. They sell it very well, very quiet. Danielson runs out there. They get some medical assistance for Regal. It's a hush over the crowd. Commentary team is very subdued. They're very concerned about William Regal, and he is basically stretchered out of there. He made a deal with the devil, and he paid for it. I like that. I like that a lot. So, of course, this sparked a lot of speculation as to whether or not this is a write-off for William Regal, if he's been now written off of TV. Now, Meltzer, on the latest Observer, was all over the place in terms of Observer Radio, in terms of William Regal's contract. He said a lot of different stuff. I mean, he said when he first signed, it was believed that it was only a one-year deal, which would put his deal up in March. And that was one of the points I was making earlier on the week. I'm like, Regal is a legend and he's respected. If his contract is up in March, he seems like the type of guy and comes from the era and the school of fulfilling your commitments. And if all you have left is 4 months, I think it would be weird and silly to ask out early, unless just out of respect for Regal, Tony Khan is just going to let him do whatever he wants to do. I'm going to go back to WWE and March, just so you know. And then Tony Khan's like, it's okay. Thank you for telling me. If you want to go now, you can. We can write you off TV. If you'd like to go, I'll be happy to do that for you. I would love it if that was a scenario behind the scenes. Maybe it was. But then there was also a report that then it was believed that his contract was up for 3 years, or his contract was for 3 years. Now, if it's for 3 years, then that's a different story. If it was 3 years, I could see a scenario where Regal wants to go back to WWE. And Tony Khan is not going to be able to grant everybody release. We've already seen this with Malachi Black and some others who have wanted releases, who are, major competitors in the company. With Regal, he's a different story. He's not an in-ring wrestler. He's an on-air personality. Granted, he is involved with the World Heavyweight Champion and stuff. They're not going to live and die by what they do with Regal, so they could probably afford to lose him in the long run if they're just going to lose him anyway. And I would like to think Tony Khan, somebody who's been a lifelong wrestling fan, if I'm in his shoes and somebody like Regal came up to me with respect and politely and says, look, no hard feelings, it's nothing personal, but I would really like a release of my contract so I can go work with WWE and go back work there. My son is there. I got job security there. I could work there for 20 years. They've got an office job for me. It would mean a lot to me if I could just go do that instead of having to wait 3 years. I would hope that out of respect, that's something Tony Khan would do. And that's why what I said about these releases, I think anytime you're faced with a situation like this in AEW or WWE, it should really be judged on a case-by-case basis. Not everybody you can let out of the release just because they decided they want to go back because Triple H is in charge now. Can't let everybody out of their contract, but some maybe you can. Or there are some people where I don't think it would be right for Tony Khan or AEW to hold somebody the caliber of William Regal hostage on their contract. You know what I mean? So it could be anything. Meltzer is kind of implying that he knows what's up, but he just can't say. So he kind of like he was just, the 1 year thing and the short-term deal and the 3-year deal. Nobody knows what the F is going on, but it does seem to be widely understood that William Regal is in fact going back to WWE. It's just a matter of when that is, when the contract is up, when he's officially going to be out. He looked like a write-off to me on TV, but at the same time, they could easily bring William Regal back, and let's just say for argument's sake, it does turn out that he has a 1-year deal. He's got a few months left. He could still come back and do something if he wanted to, but that was a pretty emphatic statement by MJF. Maybe they could have a little reconciliation between Regal and Mox before Regal leaves or whatever, but it looks like he could be out of AEW and heading back to WWE. When he turns back up there, who knows? What he'll be doing there, who knows? It would be great to see him on the main roster. It would be great to see him in NXT. At least he'd be grounded there in Florida, wouldn't have to travel a lot, and could work as a trainer and a coach and a mentor and stuff like that alongside Shawn Michaels and people like that in NXT. Or he could be an on-air personality role. Come in and take Adam Pearce's job. I'd love to see that. So Regal going back to WWE makes me happy. I was very happy to see Regal in AEW. I thought they made good use of him with the Blackpool Combat Club and some of the people that he already has history with. And they used, they used his name to help, elevate guys and get them over. I thought Regal was used better in AEW than he was in WWE, honestly. Although I think there's a good opportunity for him to go back to WWE. He spent 20 years there. And it does make a lot of sense. So best of luck to William Regal. We love William Regal regardless of what wrestling promotion he works for. William Regal is A-OK in our book. So best of luck to Regal wherever you land. The promo with MJF and that whole segment was very dramatic, very good, and really got MJF a lot of heat. And we'll just see now if Regal makes another appearance in AEW at some point, or if this is in fact the end for him. Regardless of what it is, it sounds like, as fans, we get more William Regal. We're either going to get more William Regal in AEW, or we're going to get more William Regal in WWE. The good news is Regal isn't leaving the wrestling business. His status just might be a little bit uncertain right now, so we'll keep our eye on that. Dynamite also had Danielson defeating Dax Harwood. Really good match. Dax was a busy man. He worked Speedball Mike Bailey last weekend. He was involved in Ricky Steamboat's return match as well, which I think all took place out in North Carolina. I had a friend that was at that. And he also worked Danielson on Wednesday. So Dax likes to do these one-on-one matches. Big wrestling fan, big old school fan, big Bret Hart fan. Really likes Dax a lot. I really like Dax a lot, and he took Danielson to the limit. Really good match. Of course, Danielson got the win there. We saw Ruby Soho return after a match with Anna Jay and Willow Nightingale. Willow beat Anna. And then as Ty Mello and Anna are leaving, Ruby comes out to Ruby Soho and attacks Anna Jay. And that issue is resuming now that she is back from injury. And in the main event, we saw the Elite not even up, but climb back into their series with the Death Triangle that they were down 0-2 in, and they are now just down 2-1, winning that trios match and cutting the deficit to just 1 in this very long, drawn-out best of 7. It was also cool last night on Rampage in that Orange Cassidy and QT Marshall OC versus QT Lumberjack match. The House of Black showed up after that and attacked all the Lumberjacks, including targeting and singling out Brandon Cutler. So I would love to see House of Black and the Elite have a feud when this is all over. This also kind of implies that maybe the Elite are going to come out on the winning side of this best of 7 series and take those trios titles. That's personally what I believe is going to happen. And when they do, it sounds like House of Black is going to be waiting for them. We've got Ring of Honor Final Battle coming up next week. Claudio Castagnoli challenging Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor title. If Castagnoli loses, he must join the Jericho Appreciation Society. They set that up on Dynamite. I kind of think Claudio is going to join the JAS. Maybe Hager will get a matching hat for him since they used to be a team already. That could be kind of entertaining. I thought Claudio would probably be penciled in to be the guy to take the belt back from Jericho, but now with that stip, I might like to see Claudio in the JAS. I'm not going to lie. Wheeler Yuta taking on Garcia for the Ring of Honor Pure title. We've got Athena, new attitude Athena, who's really been impressive, liking this new attitude and just new demeanor of Athena. She's going to be challenging Mercedes Martinez for the title, and I think Athena's going to win that. And we also have Juice Robinson taking on Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor television title. So that's what we got set up for Ring of Honor Final Battle next week. I've got to see with my schedule if it's even possible for me to watch that or not. I think that might be airing, I think like in the middle of the day. It might overlap with this podcast, so we're going to have to look at things next week to see where we're going to fit the podcast in next week for Ring of Honor. But let's move into WWE. A couple of things to talk about here before we jet out of here. Last night on SmackDown, we saw the Uso celebration. Still no Roman Reigns, but the Usos were in the ring with Sami Zayn and, of course, Solo Sikoa. Something's up with Solo. You can definitely tell that his demeanor is a little funny. He's kind of just that silent badass type anyway, but he does have some interesting facial expressions sometimes when some of this stuff is going on. And part of me wonders if we're going to get a swerve and he's going to be the one to leave the bloodline before Sami. I don't know. But when Sami is destroyed, I think Solo might be the guy to throw the first punch. Or, Roman might instruct, this rabid pit bull enforcer to dismantle Sami because he's remorseless. Maybe while the Usos watch. Jimmy and Jay watch. Maybe Jimmy is a little conflicted. Jay is kind of conflicted, but he's also remembering all the reasons why he hated Sami, and Sami's getting killed, and he's begging for his life. Like fucking Casino when they're beating Joe Pesci to death with the baseball bat. How gnarly that is. Have you guys ever seen that scene? Kills his brother right in front of him. Fucked up. Disturbing to watch. Something like that. Maybe even have Kevin Owens out there where they're just bludgeoning poor fucking Sami or something, not murdering him, but hurting him really bad, and Owens has to be watching, and maybe some of the, the bloodline is a little conflicted about it too, watching it go down, but they know it has to go down for the good of the family or the business or whatever. That's going to be great. But Jey Uso welcomes Sami into the fold finally. Him and Sami and Jimmy have been doing that special handshake. They let Jay in on it. How that touched my heart. So great. Brawling Brutes come out, interrupt. This leads to a one-on-one match with Sami and Sheamus. Sami gets the win when Sheamus is going for the white noise. Jay comes in the ring, super kicks Sheamus, and helps his boy Sami roll Sheamus up in a sunset flip for the win. I loved that. Gunther defeated Kofi Kingston in a pretty good match. Braun Moron came out there during the match and laid waste to the Imperium guys, and Gunther was able to beat Kofi Kingston. Whatever happens with Strowman, I hope this does not lead to Strowman taking the title off of Gunther, or I'm going to push an old lady down a flight of stairs. I swear to God. I'm kidding. I won't do that. Bray Wyatt promo, hyping up his feud with LA Knight. There is a pitch, apparently, behind the scenes right now in WWE to do something called a pitch black match involving Bray Wyatt at the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't know if Bray Wyatt's feud here with LA Knight is going to be stretched into the Royal Rumble and when the first time we're actually going to see Bray Wyatt in the ring, but we got like 2 months here until that happens. So that's going to be a lot of stuff with Bray Wyatt and LA Knight on TV leading up to that when that ever goes down. Also, we had an Uncle Howdy video as well. A lot of, teases to what Bray Wyatt is going to be doing and the havoc he's going to wreak on the roster. Shayna Baszler defeated Emma in a one-on-one match. Some Shotzi run in after the match. with Ronda and all that. Nothing great there. Also, Damage Control promo. They're in the ring. Bayley's talking smack. Liv Morgan comes out and decides to charge the ring and attack all three of these ladies by herself. That doesn't work out too good for her. She starts getting her ass kicked. And then we hear the music of Tegan Nox. Now, Tegan Nox was reported by Fightful Select earlier on in the day that she was there and likely going to be brought in. We've been hearing rumors of Tegan Nox for a while. I thought she might be the mystery partner at War Games. And I said at the time, you probably don't want it to be her because I don't think the fans are going to give a shit. And that carried over here to SmackDown. I think Tegan Nox has been gone a little bit too long for the fans to really react to her. I feel like Emma is kind of going through the same way or going through the same thing. But Tegan returning was still great to see. I know she's been dealing with those knee injuries. She's had work visa issues and stuff, so I'm happy that all of that has been worked out. She's back, ready to return to the ring. We felt so bad for her with her injuries and all the bad luck she was having. To see her back now is really nice, and we wish the best for Tegan Nox. And her and Liv Morgan stood tall against Damage Control, so we'll see how Tegan gets over. Speaking of getting over, here's something that's going to get over, like a fart in your mom's bedroom. We got another Lacey Evans repackage. Oh my God. So we are getting yet another one. It's kind of reminiscent to what they already did with her, although last time she was getting way too personal and the emotional stories behind her dad and her family and the drug abuse and all that gnarly shit she had going on. This time it's much more like Marine vibe. It shows a lot of footage of her training with the Marines and has a theme of getting back to basics. So I have never been interested in anything Lacey Evans has ever done. I have the utmost respect for the men and women who served in our armed forces. I have friends and family. My dad fought in Vietnam. All my grandfathers were Marines. My good buddy is an intelligence officer in the Navy. I know we have plenty of channel members here and chat members who are in the service in some way. I know my friend Devlin is, and I have all kinds of respect for that, and I believe that they are all truly heroes. But I absolutely despise the way WWE portrays these type of gimmicks. It's just, I don't know, I don't like it. So I don't give a shit what Lacey Evans is going to be doing in WWE. I'm here to tell you that right now. And also in the World Cup, the finals of the World Cup, Ricochet taking on Santos Escobar. Really good match here. They hyped this up earlier on in the night with a Legado del Fantasma backstage segment with a Zelina. You guys all saw her, right? So did I. That was fun. I don't really give a shit about the World Cup. I wasn't really paying much attention to the tournament. The only one that they've done before was like the one that Shane McMahon won. Didn't Shane win that? Am I remembering that right? I've already forgotten about the World Cup completely, but I do remember that I think Shane won the first one, so I don't give a shit. But yay for USA. USA wins 2 years in a row. My God, WWE, can you be more deliberate? Jesus. So Ricochet beats Santos Escobar in a really good match, beats him with the 450 thing, and he wins the World Cup. This earns him another shot at the Intercontinental Championship, I believe in 2 weeks on SmackDown. He'll be facing Gunther for that title, the man who beat him for it. So good for Ricochet. I'm glad. I mean, he's winning matches, but at this point, I am not slowing down the momentum of Gunther at all, and hopefully Ricochet will not be defeating him for the title. And whenever Gunther faces Strowman, please, Triple H, I'm begging you, I'll do anything. Just don't put Braun over. Don't have Braun Strowman be the person to beat Gunther. I can't handle it, but I'm worried that might be what happens. So we will see. All in all, that was your SmackDown in a nutshell. Not a terribly good show. Plus, it was on FS1 last night, so I don't think, correct, I'm right about that. So I don't think they're going to pull in any sort of a crazy rating for that show. And you know, that's the problem sometimes when you can have a long gap in between pay-per-views. A lot of times you're just filling TV time. That's why I was really tempted, and still kind of am, to come up here on Monday and do a Raw review. But what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about if we do a Raw review? Just 3 hours of mediocre shit? I mean, they might throw a couple of good matches at us and stuff, but we're not going to get any major storyline direction changes or swerves or debuts or anything too crazy that's going to be melting Twitter or anything like that. So we'll play Monday by ear for Monday Night Raw. But last night on SmackDown, largely the same. Tegan Nox back was great. I do like that. Other than that, however, SmackDown was just kind of mediocre, I believe, at best. This week on Raw, like I said, this past week it should be noted that Raw did a 1.6 rating. So, about double what AEW does, which I think is normal and expected. This week we do have Riddle and Elias challenging the Usos for the Tag Team Championships. I don't think Riddle and Elias are going to win those. And apparently a JBL high-stakes poker game. What does that mean? I don't care. Poor Riddle, man. With Randy Orton's back injury and him being out, that's really, I think, slowed down the momentum of Riddle. I thought Riddle was a championship, contender for Roman there near the end with Randy, and then when Randy's gone, it kind of feels like it's pushed Riddle down, and now they've just paired him with a different goofy guy with Elias. So I don't know how they're going to function as a tag team, but I don't see them beating the Usos on Monday night. That would be absolutely crazy to do that. But that's all we really have listed for Raw. I only kind of caught a little bit of Raw last week. Saw the big Bloodline hug. That was all good with Sami Zayn. But basically just eyeballed the show at best yesterday as well. But I promise to have a fun weekend here on the channel. I'm going to throw some mic drops on the channel. I'm going to hit you guys with some YouTube shorts. We've got STARRCADE 1997 to watch together tomorrow. And I will start thinking about what to do next week. Next Sunday, 1 week from tomorrow, we will be doing 2 watch-alongs. We're going to be doing a members only, which I have to decide on, and we're going to be doing probably another STARRCADE or a WWE December-related pay-per-view. We'll be doing double duty next Sunday. As far as I know, this Wednesday I should be back to react to Dynamite. I should be back to do that. I'll know for sure tonight. I don't expect any problems there, and we should have a regular schedule back on the channel this week. So I'm very much looking forward to getting back in action and hanging out with you guys again. I'll cruise over here to the chat, see if there's any last-minute comments you need me to read or questions you might have. Yeah, that deal, good point. Now, hopefully, most Ring of Honor titles are mostly defended at Ring of Honor events. Once all that gets going and gets launched, that's going to be a big help to have some of that not be so heavily prominent on AEW. Again, though, even though I don't think it's great to have all these championship belts and from 2 promotions all over Dynamite all the time, I don't think that's a contributor, to the audience. Like, basically, get rid of the Ring of Honor titles isn't going to grow their audience, And that's why I was asking you guys earlier. I said, all these people who say AEW isn't doing anything to grow their audience, then tell me, what do they got to do? What do they got to do since everybody's experts? Just doing one thing isn't going to change anything. They should book the women better. Yes, they should, but that won't grow the audience to the extent that you think it needs to grow for AEW to be successful. So I think a lot of people have the same opinion about that. They do need to grow their audience. I agree, but I just kind of question what fans expect them to do, other than turning into WWE 2.0, or what would you do? Crazy J, we did STARRCADE 1998. We did that last year. Goldberg, Kevin Nash. Armageddon 2002, Ben, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. That's Shawn Michaels, and Shawn loses the belt to that pay-per-view, right? Yeah. Armageddon 2002. We'll put that one on the list, Ben. Think about it. Zane G, last minute $10 super chat coming in from you. Thank you so much. How about a twice-in-a-lifetime match between Reigns and Rock if Rock were to lose at WrestleMania? Oh, you mean like if Rock loses, then he faces Roman again? Twice-in-a-lifetime match. Well, Cena and Rock did too. Why can't Roman and Rock do too? I definitely wouldn't put it past him, especially if the match is a success or something. And plus, who knows how The Rock is going to look in the ring? I mean, obviously, he's still jacked, but he's also 50. And I don't know how good. I didn't think his matches back 10 years ago were that great. It was just cool to see him in the ring doing his Rock shit. But what can he do now at age 50? I don't know, man. But anyway, Zane, rest up, my friend. Please feel better. The rest of you, thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button on the way out the door. And make sure you join us tomorrow night as we watch STARRCADE 1997. It should be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Shoot me a follow over on the Twitters and over on the Instagrams if you want to keep communicating with me and see what's going on. And I will be talking to you guys real